Shorties 5, Final Victory or Final Words. I actually thought it was over with Shorties Part 4. Yet this fifth, and perhaps final, Shorties will attempt to cram roughly 1,000 years of German essence into under 10 minutes, even if it doesn't contain anything fundamentally new. The occasion is an unexpected argumentative boost I recently received, of all people, from the former president of the Federal Office for the Protection of the Constitution, Hans-Georg Maaßen. He publicly stated, "I hereby declare my resignation as an ex-scholar of the Studienstiftung des Deutschen Volkes, German National Academic Foundation. It is unbearable for me to be associated with an institution meant to support young academics when it actively contributes to restricting freedom of speech, excluding people of differing political views, and serving a political ideology." Later, he elaborated on his criticism. The Studienstiftung, he claimed, is part of a far-left ideological network, and the CDU is merely a variation of the same. Maaßen's exact words, "The CDU is just a pastel-colored version of red-green. It is no alternative to it. On all decisive issues, it advocates the same positions as red-green. Its role in this whole spectacle seems to be to deceive the politically naive public into believing it is the conservative alternative, while simultaneously using its firewall policy to smear and neutralize any real alternatives as right-wing extremists." What Maaßen leaves out is the deeper history of the Studienstiftung itself, its international entanglements, and, more fundamentally, the evidence that we Germans did not have war forced upon us, but often enough chose it. After World War II, the Americans installed Hans Scholl as mayor of Ulm, a symbol of democratic renewal. Yet the people of Ulm voted him out and instead elected the notorious Theodor Pfizer as mayor. The newly formed parties at the time, both the SPD and the CDU, supported this move. Both helped ensure that Carlo Schmid, who, after all, co-authored the German Constitution, could re-establish the old foundation. And they made it possible for Pfizer to lead the foundation again for 2 decades. A man with a Nazi past at the helm of an academic elite promotion program. We could also discuss foreign influences here, the RAF murdering U.S. soldiers, ties to Islamist terror cells, or the role of the press. But that's not today's topic. Today is about the ideological foundation laid by the SPD and CDU immediately after 1945. It was visible right on their first election poster. Germany had lost territories like Silesia and Königsberg, yet the 2 largest parties insinuated in their campaign that the German Reich still existed, at least geographically. This was no accident of imagery, but a deliberate strategy, backed by field studies and meticulously planned. At the same time, the Studienstiftung was established as a legal construct, creating, in the style of German legal positivism, an ideological continuity. The continued existence of the German Reich suddenly became a debatable legal position again, and from this wellspring later emerged not only RAF members, but also supporters of Fridays for Future, Sea Rescuers, and left-wing NGOs. Europe's strategic conquest did not happen with weapons, but through institutions and parliaments. A good example is the USA. Many of its current domestic problems stem from control by South American cartels and gangs, shielded by U.S. judges whose ideological origins are strikingly often tied to European networks. Which country, by the way, is responsible for Colonia Dignidad, and later allowed the perpetrators to go unpunished. Structures like these were created by proponents of the very ideology that also shaped climate cultism, pseudo-racism debates, and the new anti-Semitism, just more subtly, through universities, through seemingly loose but strategically connected groups. The fact that in 2017 a new foundation was dedicated to Theodor Pfizer shows that the symbolic final victory must mean more for Germany than one might think. And so the question arises, how do the election posters of the CDU and SPD differ geopolitically? Not in their slogans, but in their maps. And doesn't it strike you as odd that these two parties immediately won around 60% of the vote in 1949, in a country that had just been reduced to rubble? Doesn't it make you wonder that these same parties in the Bundestag now black out the name of an author who writes about the continued existence of the German Reich? That realizing this old map would, in practice, require an attack on Russia and Poland, contradicting the 2+4 treaty? A treaty that, however, has already been theoretically undermined by legal scholars. And what many don't know, this journey doesn't end in Königsberg. If you look at the Teutonic Order's state, the expansion of German power stretched into the Baltics as early as 1200, that the Bundeswehr is now stationed in Lithuania under a coat of arms strikingly similar to the Order's, is only logical. Germans, harsh as it may sound, are a people of liars, murderers, deceivers, and fraudsters, and not just since 1933, but for 1,000 years. Accept it. A recently uncovered book describes this very accurately as well.